Good afternoon. I'm Cheryl Tritt. Diane was a treasured friend of mine for 30 years. In my experience, Diane showed the world mostly her formidable serious side. But the truth is, she loved a good time. That, coupled with a ready openness to adventure, made her a terrific travel companion. One of my best memories is a trip that Diane, Margaret, my husband Phil, and I took almost exactly 17 years ago. Margaret, Phil, and I were all reasonably experienced sailors, and we had wanted to cruise together in the Caribbean for some time. Diane, not so much. She was not a sailing aficionado and wasn't terribly experienced on sailboat operations. But every time we got together, the Caribbean was a subject of conversation. I confess we ganged up on her a little bit. And in the end, she didn't want to disappoint Margaret. And so she agreed to give it the old Cornell try. And off we went. With coincidental timing that occurs only in fiction, we set sail in a sweet sloop and from St. Vincent headed to the Grenadines. It was March 2003. Those historians watching this might recall this was exactly when the U.S. invaded Iraq and went looking for Saddam Hussein and his weapons of mass destruction. In light of all this, our plan was to sail during the day and at night soak up the local scene and find bars with the satellite TV link that broadcast news of Iraq. It was truly surreal, but in hindsight, it was probably one of the most fun things we did during the trip. We also had a couple of open water crossings between islands that had us, and particularly Diane, hanging on the railing. I'm reasonably confident there were times when she would have much rather been on a badminton court. But she was such a good sport, and she didn't complain, not ever. She quickly learned the lore and operations of sailboats and learned to like, if not love, sailboats. When our week was up, we all four left the boat smiling broadly. My single regret is that we never did another cruise when we could have had 4 experienced sailors. We talked about it, never did it.